I shot over 100,000 photos, and here is the 3 things that I learned. And I will give you these 3 lessons of photography in just a little bit, but first I want to tell you a little bit of a story from the book Atomic Habits. This book right here, and it goes something like this. On the first day of class, a professor at the University of Florida divided his film photography students into 2 groups. Everyone on the left side of the classroom, he explained, would be in the quantity group. They would be graded solely on the amount of work they produced. So on the final day of class, he would tally the number of photos submitted by each student. 100 photos would rate an A, 90 photos a B, 80 photos a C, and so on. Meanwhile, everyone on the right side in the room would be in the quality group. They would be graded only on the excellence of their work. They would only need to produce 1 single photo during the whole semester, but to get an A, it would need to be almost a perfect image. So who do you think delivered the best work in the end? Well, I will tell you in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about the first lesson learned from these 100,000 photos. And that is that it is okay to fail. It's okay to suck, and it is okay to go out, shoot some photos, come back, and don't feel like you have anything that is good enough. With social media and this constant feed of just comparison, it is really easy to get into your own head. Just that everybody else is so much better than you are, or that you are a terrible photographer. But you know, there is this quote by Thomas A. Edison that I think really fits this video very well. And it goes something like this: I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And even if you feel like it was a terrible day, that you failed and everything, then there is always something that you can take away from it. And honestly, the worst case scenario would be that the photos are pretty bad, but that you learned something. And honestly, that isn't too bad, is it? And I personally think that we need to be easier on ourselves and try to enjoy the process more and not the outcome as much. Of course, we all like when we post our photos online and they are good, and the likes and the comments start to roll in. But all of those things are external validation sources, and these external sources are things that we can't really control. So instead of putting our mood and feelings in the hands of these external sources, shouldn't we try to find them in things that we actually can control? Like all the amazing times and memories we have had thanks to photography, and all the people that we have met. Those are the things that I think really matters. So it is okay to fail, and it is okay to come home from a street photography session and realize that you have had the camera on JPEG and don't have any RAWs from that photo shoot. Link to the video up here. You might be thinking to yourself right now, well, 100k photos, that doesn't seem like that much, or you're the other way around, that seems like so much for you. But honestly, that doesn't really matter, because I don't really know how many photos I've shot. But don't you think it makes for a good title and thumbnail? And now for lesson 2, and that is getting good does not equal business. As creatives, getting good at our craft is one thing, but then if we want to monetize that skill, it's a whole other game. And I think there is this misconception that if we get good at our thing, then just magically work is going to show up for you and everything is just going to work out. But that is not true in any sort of way. And I think we have to start looking at them at 2 separate things and 2 separate skills that we need to master, both of them if we want to start to make money from our creative field. And there is this saying about the starving artist and how he is sacrificing everything, his well-being, for his craft. And I just think that is so stupid, and that it is really wrong to romanticize this way of doing art. Money is neither good nor bad. It simply amplifies what is in the heart of the one who controls it. So an artist with money can therefore spend more money on their projects, make bigger projects, and therefore have a bigger impact with their art. So I think it is time to forget about the whole starving artist thing, and for artists to realize that it takes work, and it takes a lot of work. If you want to succeed as a photographer or in any other creative field, it is time to start thinking about both your craft but also the business side of things. Alright, and now for lesson 3. But first, do you remember that class that I talked about in the beginning of the video? Yes, the quality and quantity group class. And the professor was surprised by the results. The group that had been tasked with shooting as many photos as they could and show it at the end of the term had produced some of the best photos that that professor had ever seen in that class. And when the quality group had been sitting inside the classroom and thinking about what shot they would take, then the quantity group was out shooting, trying things, shooting more photos, learning, trying different compositions. And through all of this trial and error, they had both learned a lot more, but they had also ended up with some beautiful photos. The best is the enemy of good, Voltaire. So for lesson number 3, one that is probably the most important one to learn, both in life and in photography, and that is just to get started. And striving for that perfection can be the biggest enemy of you actually producing anything good. And all of your good work is going to come from you taking action and not standing on the sidelines, just watching and thinking about what you should do. So take that first action. Go shoot that photo, reach out to that person or brand that you want to work with. Hadn't I taken action like 7 years ago, I wouldn't have started my business, I wouldn't have traveled as much as I have, and hadn't I started filming myself, I wouldn't feel as comfortable talking to a camera like right now, and I wouldn't have more than 20,000 followers across social media. We often fall into the trap of thinking in the way of, if just that one thing happens, then I would do this, or if I just had a little bit more time, or oh, if it wasn't for this, I would do that. But in reality, it doesn't get any easier. You just have to look at what is the next step and then take that step. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a different one. I just felt like trying something different. And if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and so on. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.